Hey everyone, it's AC here, and welcome to Heine Homeboys. And this is our great mate Clay Blankenbaker, and most of y'all know him as the camp pastor at Camp Mac, or you can call it Camp Buck. But he's also been the pastor at New Beginnings for 6 years. So here we go. This is Clay, everyone.
Yeah. So what episode are we on? Episode 12.
Yeah, I say we're episode 12, maybe 13.
Yep. So let's get started. First question is, tell everyone about yourself if they don't already know you.
Loaded question. All right, my name is Clay Blankenbaker. I married the most wonderful, fantastic woman in the world about 28 years ago. As a matter of fact, in a couple weeks, we are going to be, actually less than a couple weeks, in a few days, we are going to be celebrating our 30th anniversary of our first date.
That's great.
That is pretty great.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah.
I married Holly Bunch from Metropolis. We lived in Kentucky the first 12 years of our marriage, but we both felt God calling us to move to Metropolis. Several different reasons. One, the education system, because of our kids, 2 kids, Seth and Sarah, who were needing some extra support in school, and Caleb, who wasn't needing extra support in school, but we liked the idea of small schools. We moved from Kentucky to Metropolis. I was helping to start some churches at the time here in Metropolis. So we both felt God's call to move here. So we moved here. Golly, it seems like it's been 17 years ago.
That sounds right. It was 2005.
Yeah, somewhere around
Yeah,
there.
I personally didn't meet you till probably late 2008.
I feel like we went to their old house.
You
once.
did go to our old house.
I was also
Yeah.
young.
Yeah.
You were very young. You were both
Yeah.
in a high chair.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah,
Vaguely.
yeah. Your mom and dad came over, brought you to our old house. We played some games. Your dad outsung me on some video games.
Guitar Hero, that was 2009.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Well, that was at our old house. But
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah, no,
I'm
but
sure
he
that
did it at
happened.
our house in Kentucky.
Okay.
He showed me up. You know.
Oh, okay.
I realized what a man he really is. So. That being said, we came over here. We worked with the church plant for a little while, left that, and then we attended First Baptist with you guys down at 6th and Girard.
Mhm.
Holly and I were just church attendees for the longest time. Loved the church, loved the people. As a matter of fact, got to worship with them Sunday. Got to drop my kids off at VBS there this morning. And then, like you said, around probably 6.5 years ago, I started filling in for a small congregation in Metropolis. I would teach my Sunday school class at First Baptist, and then their church didn't start till around 10:15, so I would drive over there and preach for them. And suddenly, I just knew God was calling me to become their pastor. So that's been 6 years ago.
Yeah. I remember. I remember. It was end of summer 2016. FBC held a celebration for you for all the years you've done at FBC, and then a week later you joined New Beginnings.
Yep, we did that. Ordination.
Ordination, yeah, that's right.
Yep, I had been ordained as a deacon for a few years, and then they ordained me as a pastor and sent me out. So they're kind of my sending church. They're my backup church. I don't mean backup in a way if something goes wrong, I always have a place to go.
Yeah.
They're the ones who back me up. If I still have all their phone numbers, still talk to all of them, and love them dearly.
Yep, that's great.
It is.
That's great.
Okay, so we're going back to the beginning of when you answered your question. So what was your first date almost 30 years ago?
Oh, our first date almost 30 years ago was El Chico's in Paducah. I can tell you exactly where we sat. Of course, the restaurant's gone. It was on June 21st. I think it was a Saturday at that time, or it may have been Sunday of Father's Day. It was Saturday or Sunday. Holly and I had worked together at Michelson Jewelers for quite a while, and then started dating while we were working together. And then she had left there by the time we had gotten married. But so that was the first date, El Chico's. I think it was a steak fajita. She got a fajita. I can tell you almost what she ordered.
Yeah, and
now where you sat's probably roughly somewhere in Qdoba now because they.
Yeah, exactly. Probably have to go back to their kitchen or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was our first date.
I really miss the El Chico.
Oh, we do too. You know, we used to drive to Nashville. We thought about driving to Knoxville because I think they still have an El Chico. But anyway.
Yeah, and you're right. Father's Day 1992 was actually Father's Day 1992 was on a Sunday, so you were right, Clay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we've had, and that was so I was a non-believer when Holly and I started dating.
Oh.
So that's when she informed me that if I wanted a second date with her, that I needed to come to church. So the following week, we went to church together. Brother Brinker was preaching, and so that was my introduction to church life. And we attended church for probably 2 or 3 years before I actually, came under conviction of my sin and became a believer. I became a believer on February 16th, the year we got married, 1994. We got married the following March the 5th.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, and question: what purchase of $100 or less has most positively impacted your life, in the last several months or recent times?
Purchase of $100 or less has most impacted my life. Man, that's a tough one. You guys ask some hard questions on here, because I typically don't buy anything $100 or less. But
I know how those Blankenbakers are.
Yeah, I'm a high roller, right? I am a high roller. I will tell you, I can't tell you if this was $100 or less. It was probably right at it. I bought a weed eater that is just unbelievable. It hasn't broke down on me yet.
Yeah.
So.
Do you have like Seth help you with that, or?
So now this was way more than $100.
Okay.
But this is a shout out to anybody who has kids with, maybe not above average or average functioning. I got Seth a battery operated DeWalt lawnmower, and it's a push mower. And the great thing about it, he doesn't have to worry about gas. He doesn't have to worry about oil. Doesn't have to worry about pull start. He just puts 2 batteries in, handles the button, and he mows our yard independently. So
that's great.
That has really been, honestly, that's probably been the most impactful purchase I've made, because it gives Seth this, it gives him a job, something to do, gives him something that he gets immediate reward. That's a great thing about mowing. You have tall grass on this side, and you mow, and you see you have short grass on that side. So it's instant gratification. And it's something that, he takes a lot of pride in. And it's been very good for him. It's been very good for me.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to come home from work and mow.
Yeah.
But I love it, and he loves it. So
it's good.
Like these hot days, he won't. But
right.
Yeah.
Like today's the high is supposed to be 100. So.
Yeah. No, he won't be out mowing.
He won't probably for another week or so.
All right. So how does a failure or apparent failure set up for later success? And then do you have a favorite failure?
Well, there is a monument to my failure in Metropolis, which I like to say that. I use that. I know Metropolis, everybody drives down. Is that Market Street?
Yeah.
That goes to the Superman statue?
Yeah.
Right.
All right. As you drive down Market Street, as you get past Thor's gym, immediately past Thor's gym on the right, there's a building that they use a lot of time for Superman celebration. But if you look up, on top of it is written, there's blue, like Kentucky blue, in white letters that says compassion, acceptance, truth. That is where we were planting the church to be in Metropolis. That was my passion and my vision. I was not the pastor. As a matter of fact, I was just an absolute lay person. I came over to help plan it. I was doing the children's ministry so that the pastor could do the pastoring part, and then the people who visited the church didn't have to worry about, being volunteers in children's ministry. Well, that church plant failed. And I use that. I drive by that fairly regularly to show me that's what happens when we, human beings, try to do something.
Yeah.
So it's okay. Every time, maybe I get a little puffed up in the ministry. Maybe somebody pats me on the back too much. Well, I drive by that and go, okay, that's what arrogance gets you. It's an empty building. And I have learned far more from failures than I ever will from successes. My milestones, my mile markers in my life are failures, things I've done wrong, and I learn from those things.
Yeah.
We at church we talk about carrying stones around. One of the stones that I carry around is the stone of, hey, you've tried this, you've failed, what are you going to learn from it? And so I tell my own kids, okay, you've had a setback. What do we learn from a setback? What do we learn from a failure? So I love my failures. I embrace them because they are many.
Yeah. It's good.
Okay, so are there any quotes you think of often or live your life by?
Oh man, I am not a quote guy. I know you all are. I am not a quote guy. In other words, I don't have them hanging on my doorpost. I was just listening to one through a Bible study I was listening to in my car, and I was like, I'm going to hold on to that quote. I need to write that down. I didn't write it down. It goes something like this. The Son of God became the Son of Man so that the sons of men could be children of God. And I hung on to that, and I'm like, I love that God himself sent his one and only Son to become human flesh, to become the sons of men, so that us, the real human flesh, could become children of God. Just that circle paradigm that is just amazing to think about. So that's
Right.
my quote of the day. I'll probably forget it by the time I leave here,
You
but
probably
I'm holding
will.
on to it right now.
Okay.
All right. So, what is your greatest challenge as a pastor?
As a pastor, wow. My personal convicted challenge is to continue to stay in the Word. All right. So I think of the word challenge as a pastor in several different ways. So I'm going to kind of break this down a couple ways. Because I am bivocational, because of my family structure, I have a tendency to not be in God's Word as much as I need to be. Okay? So I have a tendency to want to come home from work and watch TV, and I think everybody else in the world gets to do it. Why can't I? I get the tendency to want to go watch my kids play softball. Everybody else in the world gets to do it. Why can't I? Those kind of things. So I have to balance that out. And I'll be honest, I don't do well balancing that. I need to be better as a balancer for that. All right, that's my personal challenge. Now, as the pastoral challenge, my biggest challenge is I can't fix everything. I'm a fixer, right? By vocation. In other words, by what I do for a living, you bring me something that's broken and I fix it. My biggest challenge as a pastor is I realize I can't fix everybody's issue. I can hear their issue. I can pray over their issue. I can speak whatever influence I have in it. I can give whatever opinion I have in it. But it pains me that I can't just go and fix it.
Yeah.
I want to fix everybody's everything. So that's my other side of that challenge. Is I wish I could just, fly in like Superman, fix their stuff, and fly out, but I can't.
Okay. So what was your first mission trip that you went on?
My first mission trip was Caleb. It's going to be right at 21 years. This was that July 4th, July 5th.
Oh,
21 years ago.
okay.
I flew out and went to the island of Trinidad. It's a double island, Trinidad and Tobago. I was stationed, I'm going to use air quotes, with a really good friend of mine named Daryl Howard. And he and I were stranded in a little village called La Brea on the island of Trinidad.
So I think we got a couple of questions in the live stream.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. Okay, so I got a question that said, could you still make Sue and Charlie's fish and salad
If I could, I would make it every night. Yes, sir. I love Sue and Charlie's. But I'm gonna tell you, the best Sue and Charlie's is leftover Sue and Charlie's left in a cardboard box lined with aluminum foil and re-eaten cold at 1:30 in the morning. I have a lot of experience with that. Love me some Sue and Charlie's.
Okay.
Okay. So what is, I don't even know.
Sue and Charlie's was a restaurant, started in 70s. We moved to Kentucky in 1976. It was this tiny little fish restaurant. It eventually burned down. They built a big metal building. There's the Willow Pond, or I think it's just called the Pond now, in Aurora, is the site that it used to be on. And they really did have the best. They called it catfish. I'm not going to tell you what it really was,
Okay.
but it was not Kentucky Lake catfish. But I worked there 2 summers, and it was an amazing place to work, and I learned a lot, good, bad, and otherwise.
Okay.
All right. So, next question is, what is one of the best or most worthwhile investments you've ever made?
Time with my kids. It is my most limited resource is time. It's the singular thing I have the least of. Every person is born with 24 hours in their day. If you work, there's 10 hours of it cut right out. If you sleep, there's 8 hours of it cut right out. I'm an 8-hour sleeper. I wish I was one of those guys who could live off of 3 and 4 hours, but 18 of my 24 hours of my day are cut out. And every bit of it, the most worthwhile is spending time with my kids, but my wife and my kids. I don't know anything about money. All I know is I get a limited resource of time.
Well, you just said 18, so you sleep 6 hours, or
10 hours at work, 8 hours in bed.
Oh, okay.
So 18 hours cut out of there. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
6 hours left over.
Oh,
No
right?
kids. Oh, okay.
See?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a math guy.
You have 6
Yeah.
kids now. So.
Six kids, and I would like to say I spend an hour with each, and I don't, but I do. My Mondays, I have Mondays off now, and I just try to spend that resource with them. Now, they may not enjoy it because my Monday's off, we work. We clean the house, we do the laundry, but it's still time with my kids and my family. I don't have hobbies outside of my family because I can't imagine spending time somewhere besides with my kids and my wife.
Okay.
And like I said, or I don't know if I said this earlier, but if you guys have any questions for Clay, write them down in the live feed below, and we'll answer them eventually. But what's your next question?
Okay. Who inspires you the most?
Living or dead?
Both. You can start with dead, then you can go with living now.
So, because Jesus is a weird one because he's both living and has died. And that's the easy Sunday school answer,
Yes,
right?
that's right.
That's the one we don't want to hear because you're like, oh, come on, man. Right now, my wife is an incredible rock star, and I never tell her that. But she also is working full time. She also is, managing our family. She's the one who keeps up with the math. She's the one who keeps up with where everybody has to go. My brain can't even do what she does, and she's a full-time college student.
Yeah.
And I just, honestly, she inspires me because I get to see it every single day, and I'm just amazed at what she does.
All right. So in the last 5 years, what new belief, behavior, or habit has most improved your life?
Most improved belief, behavior, or habit. Wow. It is reoccurring in my life, and it's one of those that continues to reoccur. It's just the sovereignty of God in everything. And I would have to go to the point of using the overwhelming sovereignty of God. I don't want to bore with stories and regale you with what I have seen God do, but what I have seen God do in the past, especially 4 years, is unbelievable. I saw it when Caleb was born 21 years ago. You know, like I said, I was in Trinidad while, you know, he was expected to be born. I did finally make it home for his birth. But, you know, how God moved and worked in that. How God moved and worked in Seth and Sarah's life. How God moved and worked in Josh's life. And how we see God moving and working in Bryce and Brendan's life. It's just the overwhelming sovereignty of God. It's just one of those things that I want to force God's hand, and then I get into the idea, same thing I say, you know, I can't fix everything. I can't force everything. And I get into the stalemate of not having the faith I need to have. And then I see God move in that, even though my lack of faith. You know, I'm the guy who says, you know, I believe, but forgive my unbelief. You know, my mother-in-law who is a great testimony to the sovereignty of God. You will come in and give me that, you know, everything's going to be all right, don't you? And in that, I want to fight her because I want proof that everything's going to be all right, right?
Yeah.
I want some tangible evidence that everything's going to be all right. And the idea, again, I'm a fixer. The idea of just sitting back, be still and know is hard for me. But watching God move through those things in the past 4 years has been amazing. In the past 21 years has been amazing. In the past 30 years of Holly and I's relationship together has been amazing.
All right. It looks like we got some questions in the live feed, so we'll look at those real quick. Okay, no, it's just comments. But AC, what's your next question?
Okay, so what is an unusual habit that you love?
What is a what?
Unusual habit that you love.
What is an unusual habit that I love? I love driving older cars that don't have air conditioning. I roll the windows down, spring, summer, fall, and winter. You know, that's probably about it. You know, I would think that, you know, it's 100 degrees outside and I'm watching the trees blow and I'm driving around with no air conditioning, and I love it. You know, kind of instilling that on my kids too, because now when we, you know, Holly will drive the van, which has 2 air conditioners in it and, you know, can freeze you. And they will actually say, hey, can I ride in your car? We can roll down the windows in your car. So, you know, that's kind of an unusual habit. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
As good as I'm going to get on that one.
All right.
Yeah.
So what are some bad recommendations you hear in your profession or area of expertise?
So we want to talk about my jewelry life? Do we want to talk about my ministry life? You want to talk about my adoptive parenthood life?
All the above.
Okay. All right. So my occupational life as a jeweler, there are about 1 billion bad recommendations. The first good recommendation I can give you is talk to a professional. Always talk to a professional. Don't try to fix it yourself. Don't use super glue. Don't use bleach. Don't use ammonia. Don't go on the internet and try to do anything on your own. Bring it to me. We'll fix it. All right, so that's the first one. In my ministry life, the worst thing that I see is the idea that God is punishing people when bad things are happening or struggles are going on in their life. I hear it all the time. It's the idea of, you know, something is happening, I'm going through a struggle, I must have done something wrong. That frustrates me as a pastor, because that's not the way God works, okay? Yes, there is time when God does correction and rebuke. There is time when he chastens you or chastises you to get you on the right path. I talked about the failure at that church and where it has brought me to now. I believe God used that to kind of open my eyes on several things. But I get frustrated with people who think they need to do more so that God will like them, or that they need to change some things, or if something happens in their life, they must have done something wrong. Jesus talks directly to that when he says, look at that person over there who's, the disciples say, look at that person over there who's blind. Did he sin or did his parents sin? In other words, the idea is if something bad happened to you, you must have done something wrong. And that is entrenched in our society. That is, if you don't have a great job, if you don't have a big house, if your kids aren't listening perfectly, well, you must have done something wrong. Well, there are actions we can take that can cause those. We can make bad investments, we can spend too much money, or we can just be bad parents. But the truth is, we don't look at our circumstances and judge our circumstances and judge God's love based on our circumstances. So I think that's really bad advice, that it must be out there, because I hear it far too often for it to be something we just make up. In other words, and I always say it this way, if we're being punished for our sins here on earth, then why did Jesus die on the cross?
Right.
Didn't he absorb our punishment, right? Didn't
Yes,
he pay
he
the
did.
penalty
He
for
did.
our sin?
Yes, he did.
So it's not, oh, I messed up, God's punishing me. God's not that kind of a father, even though, like I said, there are some times where he chastises you. So that's bad advice. That's what you hear people say, and maybe they'll come together in a small group and say, hey, this and this and this going on in my life, and maybe somebody will look at them and go, well, you need to examine your life and see where you failed and fix that, and all your circumstances will go well. There's just broken things, we live in a broken world. Kids disobey, trees fall on houses, things happen. All right.
And what was I think there was another area you said, I forgot.
So I have a person,
It was
adopted life.
so in my adopted life,
Yeah.
there's so much bad advice in that. So my wife and I, we have never been able to conceive and have children. We've been able to conceive, but we've never been able to have a live birth. So early in that, everybody would just say, well, just relax, and once you relax, you'll get pregnant. Well, that's not true. Maybe it is for some people, but that's kind of some false information, and it doesn't help the couple going through it. Well, if you guys would just relax, you'll have a baby. And that doesn't help. That's not good advice. It doesn't help. Seek professional help. Go see the doctors that you need to see. But the whole idea of just stop trying to have children and they'll happen is not a great idea. Then there's the whole idea about when we did start in the process of adopting Caleb, everybody was like, well, as soon as you adopt him, you guys will get pregnant. Now that does happen. I have a friend from Marshall County who that happened to, but that's a super rare occurrence. Even though everybody says they know somebody that happened to, it's a super rare occurrence.
Yeah.
And then the other advice is, again, all our children came by the complete, ultimate sovereignty of God. We never approached adoption. Adoption always approached us. Now, so when people ask me for advice on adoption, and I'll be honest, they never do, I always say, don't put a list out there of the things you want like you're ordering off a menu at Burger King. Just open your life to whatever God has and be willing to accept that. And that is the best advice.
Okay.
Good on you, Clay. So what country would you love to visit?
I am getting ready to plan a trip to take my Sarah Belle to Japan.
Okay.
Sarah Belle, Japan. Okay.
That has always been her life goal, and I have made a promise to take her to Japan. And I read on the internet this morning that Japan is loosening its restrictions for entry. So once Holly gets out of college and some things happen, then we're going to start, Sarah and I are going to start looking at going to Japan. My dad lived in Japan from 1952 to 1956, and always told me stories, and I want to go I want to go see it, and Sarah does also. So
Good.
That's awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
so, yeah.
I'd love to see pictures on Facebook.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe Holly posts them since you're not on there. But
Oh, if I go to Japan, I'll post some pictures. We want to go see. We want to see the cherry blossoms. We want to see Mount Fuji. We want to see Tokyo. We want to see the mountains. We want to see the rainforest. You know, I would love to see any part of it.